Hello and welcome to Growing Tech Fast, the condensed Org3D podcast. Today I'm joined by Kunal Agarwal, the founder and CEO of Dope Security. It's great to have you on the pod today, Kunal. So let's kind of dive straight into things. Can you start maybe by telling us a bit about your background and how you got started in the cybersecurity space originally?
Yeah, Ben, thank you so much for setting this up. So I've been in cybersecurity my whole life, right? So I was into hacking when I was really, really young, kept doing that, almost went to jail actually. Then from there, went to, went to university and joined Symantec. And so I was at Symantec, between Symantec and another company called ForcePoint for about 10 years. And between those two organizations, I kind of learned a ton about almost every single area of product management. And I work with tons of salespeople, as a matter of fact, as well, engineers, product, everything. And that kind of became the genesis for going in and starting Dope Security.
Cool. And I've got to ask about the name. Has that got anything to do with how you almost went to jail? or
Well, so like I'm one of those people that is actually born and raised in the Bay Area, which is
hmm.
take with whatever it means. But when you're born and raised in the Bay Area, you cannot go 5 minutes without saying dope. You cannot go 5 minutes without saying dope. You'll go in and say, hey, Top Gun 2 dope, Star Wars dope, this dope, that dope. You will not be able to go in. Even just a simple thing of saying, oh yeah, we're gonna go to the restaurant. Okay, dope. We'll see you there in 5. Like that's how the conversations work. And so if you think about it like that, that ultimately has that word has an emotion, and that word emotion of dope, it means passion. It means,
Mm.
yeah, I'm gonna go in and build something. I'm gonna go in, whatever it may be. And that is what really is the sort of the secret sauce behind Dope Security is passion. The amount of passion we put into this project has been a lot, and everyone in the company came here to do something different.
Cool. That's a really cool story actually, and nice that it kind of has a bit of your personal identity in it as well. Is it a word you still find yourself using quite a lot?
Sometimes it becomes one thing where like all my friends use it all the time. Like every single, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, we just announced the Series A round with Google, and all my friends are like, yo, that's so dope. I mean, but it's so normal to say those things, especially in the Bay. And like the vibe and energy of California is what we're trying to bring out in the company, right? Where you're going in and you're just trying to put in every ounce of effort. I mean, that's what made things like a Hollywood, right? That's what made so many
Mm.
Bay Area companies do so well and be used all around the world. I mean, even to this day, I happen to be in Bombay today, but like all my friends use Apple products, and that was
Mm.
originally invented, in the Bay. So it's kind of cool to see that, and that's what we wanted to do in cybersecurity as well, because there's so many cybersecurity companies out there, but we really want to stand for this really, really, really well.
Yeah, perfect. So what, coming from the cybersecurity space, both some experience on the red side and the blue side, I suppose.
Yeah.
What was the particular challenge you noticed in the space that inspired you to start Dope Security?
Well, there's like a lot of mainstream cybersecurity companies, right? Like you've heard, I said Symantec, ForcePoint, there's Zscaler, there's Netscope, there's this, there's that. There's all kinds of companies out there. But and then there's also a lot of startups as well. But the thing that I always felt is that, hey, let's go in and try to make the products that we work on the best possible products. We'll try to improve them as much as we could. And this specific area of cyber, which is called secure web gateways, or sometimes people refer to it as SSE or proxy, whatever you want to call it, has a problem. And the architecture has not been updated in a decade, over a decade. And so when you see something like that that's mainstream, has a significant problem, and has a terrible user experience, you take all three of those things together, and that's the genesis of Dope Security.
Nice. Okay, perfect. So you have this idea then to move into that specific area. What were your first few steps? What ingredients did you need to start making a difference there?
Well, you first need to push off the ledge. So somebody has to push off the ledge. So I would say I would probably credit there's many people to credit for that, but I would say the first person that really planted the seed is a close friend of mine, Rayhan. He works at Security AI. He's the CEO there, and he worked with me at Symantec after his startup was acquired by Bluecoat and then acquired by Symantec. And I think, he said, look, Kunal, if I gave you an unlimited check, what would you do in cyber? Because I'm too tired of seeing you in these big legacy cybersecurity companies. But yeah, this is something I would do. And my first boss at Symantec, his name's Nico Pop, he's the CPO at Tenable. He said, Kunal, if you do not do this, you're doing a service to yourself. You'll always have a job with me, but at least go in and try and make this happen. And it's been almost 2 years now, but I would have those two people to thank, and many more, right? Like I said, but that push was required to go in and make this happen.
Amazing.
It's a very good question, because people always ask you, right? They always say, like, as an investor, somebody asks you, hey, like, why? But also, why you? You have to have really good answers to both of those questions.
It is a good answer, and it's an answer that's not just displaying the confidence you've got in yourself, but actually the confidence other people have in you as well, which is as important.
Yeah.
So when it comes to staying on top of those threats, because I think that the key kind of unique feature around cybersecurity is the pace of innovation is set by the attackers, basically. That they're actually why products need to keep changing, is because they're constantly coming up with ideas on how to beat the products in the current market. So what's the process for you on that, staying on top of the emerging threats and staying up to date?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of an emerging threat, or the idea of a constant threat, whatever that might be, that ultimately there are a lot of companies that do well. And I can never say that, hey, one is better than the other, or that we are better than someone else, because I don't like to say it like that. What I like to look at is what makes our technology different. It ultimately comes down to user experience. You can have the best possible threat protection software in the world, but the UX sucks, it will never work. At Symantec, we had this product that I became the PM of that was called critical system protection. And it would allow you to lock down a system so that it could not do anything but what it's supposed to do, like a point of sale system as an example. If you try to run malware on there, it wouldn't work. If you try to do this, if you try to do an exploit, it would be very difficult for it to take on. But it was so difficult to use that no one would ever use that. And that is what makes cybersecurity different. I mean, I could not ultimately, yes, we do things. There are things like that. But if I was looking at why would I choose cybersecurity, it's because we give every single customer a first-class experience. The UX is second to none. And I really mean that. You give it a try, and as a matter of fact, you can actually try it instantly. You don't have to talk to a sales rep to go in and try it. You just go in on the website, and within seconds, you'll have your first endpoint up and running. That's our kind of, again, unique differentiation.
It shows a real confidence in your product as well, to just wear it kind of out on your sleeve like that and just kind of give it to whoever wants it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right? Like if you go to a nice luxury goods store, and the best of quality in the world, whatever that might be, like they allow you to try their product. You can go to the changing room and try that. And if you look at most cybersecurity companies, it's like they've boarded up the walls and said, hey, don't come in. You're not allowed to come in. Take an appointment first. And by the way, we won't even show you the product until the fourth appointment. It's like, what is that? What is that? Just go allow us to use the product. That's all we care about. And that is, I think it's a little different. I mean, we try to be a bit more colloquial at Dope, right? Because it's like, this should not be a platform play. This should not be some crazy vision speech. It's very simple. We offer customers an incredible secure web gateway. We have a great roadmap that's going to offer them an amazing CASB and amazing private access to give them that security service edge. But yeah, I mean, and it's all differentiated, right? Because it's fly direct. You don't have to go through a data center to offer the services.
Amazing. And so how much...
Yeah, it's really fair.
It is cool. And how much input then do the actual customers have on that user design? You put that as one of the things that really makes you guys different. Is that something you're constantly changing for them, or something that they're telling you they need changed and then you reacting to that?
Yeah, so it's like relatively rare where you're going to find a customer who's like, oh my gosh, I want this, because that's not really where it is. But there's hints that people can give. Like, I'll give you an example. There's a feature that we have coming out next month, and I find it incredibly exciting because, to me, I've lived these pains and I've seen customers live these pains, but you may not first get it until I explain it to you. So like when you install this kind of capability on someone's laptop, it traditionally, if you look at any of our competitors, the legacy folks, they all stop over a data center. They take all the internet from your system and they reroute it to a data center, and then they go to the destination. And that causes reliability problems, performance problems, latency. It's not the greatest thing. Now we have a fly direct architecture. Everything goes directly from the device to the destination, and all of the technology is on the device. So that's what the security is on device. And so now you think about it, it's like, well, what if an application just doesn't work with the proxy? Think about it, right? Like a good example would be Dropbox. Dropbox is a thick client application. It just doesn't happen to work with the proxy. As soon as it tries to communicate, it says, hang on, you're using the wrong certificate. You shouldn't be using the certificate. And now you think in your head, you're like, interesting. Well, if that's the case, how would the admin know about it? Like, how would the admin figure that out? Like, the user has no way of potentially getting in touch with the admin if it's a huge company. They have to submit a support ticket. It has to go back and forth. They have to submit a Zoom. They have to do all these debugging, blah, 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 blah. What if we could just give somebody a nice little checkbox? They just go into the UI, they click check, approve, done. It's that simple. And it's not like this has been impossible for ages and ages. There's nobody does it like that. But right now, you go and install one of the, the legacy folks. It's going to require you to go in and manually input all these things, manually figure these things out. We just don't want people doing any of that. Like, why should they have to do all that work?
Yeah, I like it. Keep it simple. That works for people like me.
Our goal, and that's something that we do a little different at Dope, is that every single person in the company, whether you're in marketing, sales, engineering, it doesn't really matter. You know how to use our product. And maybe it's a testament to the people we've hired, and also maybe it's a testament to what the work that they've done, right? Is to go in and make this as easy as possible, get up and running as they can.
Cool. So what kind of people do you hire then? When you're looking for the Dope Security DNA, how would you define that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the folks are people we've worked with before, right? So I would say, as an example, I would take everyone from like Tim O'Leary, who's on our endpoint engineering side, or even Sunil, who's on the cloud engineering side. It's just every single person has a lot of experience in this area. But I would say the biggest thing is that they all got, in some senses, they were not the executives of the world. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, these were ICs. I myself was an IC in a lot of ways. I mean, I had teams. We all had people we would lead and this and that. But like ultimately, it came down to we were very, very, very detail oriented. And we got down to deal. There's no mid-level managers at Dope Security. It's people that can go in, do the work, hands on keyboard, kind of carrying a bag if they're a salesperson, as an example, whatever it may be. Be able to do the work, not just manage people who do the work.
Cool. Yeah, so perfect. Roll up the sleeves and get the hands dirty kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, right? Like, for example, just earlier before this call, like we were like discussing a defect, but I have to push myself as an example to make sure I can understand something like that. So we're not just blindly talking about it. Or, for example, if I look at Aiden, who's our head of product, can directly go in and debug the issues and see what they are. Now, is that his day job? No. But is it great that he is able and aware of doing that? Absolutely. Right. How many companies I worked at where the head of design had no idea how to use Figma, had no idea how to use Photoshop? Like, what is that? That's not acceptable at all. And like, I mean, it's not acceptable. Like, you can't just be like we're kind of like a UX versus a UI person. It doesn't work like that. And Erica, who I've worked with for many years now, Semantic, ForcePoint, and here, like, she's so intelligent and able to do these things. That is what makes, I think, the company different.
Cool. So what does the future look like for you guys in terms of growth, and also where the product set can go? Where do you see this in the next sort of 3 to 5 years, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we didn't build this company to just go in and get acquired. Like, that's not why we become. It's not a checkbox feature. This is like something that people can use and enjoy. And in fact, all of our customers, you go and talk to them, they're going to say, like, yeah, product works. Product experience is great. Customer service is great. And that's what we want. And so when I look at the future, it's about taking that and applying what we've built on the secure web gateway side over to the CASB side and the private access side as well, because it's never really been that easy to go up and get up and running. So I think I'm pretty excited about it because we finally had the opportunity. People believed in us. Google believed in us. People like yourself have reached out to come in and have a conversation. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. So I think just to wrap up then, perhaps you could just leave us with just a piece of advice. If you imagine there's someone out there listening to this who's in a position you were in 2 years ago, where they're in a force point, for example, and they're thinking, I've got this idea, but I don't know what to do. What would you tell them?
Well, if they've ever heard the words, "Oh, you're so passionate," but which a lot of people have heard before. I mean, I would tell them that, it's like, don't stop that, right? Don't not be passionate on what you're working on. Just keep doing it, right? And, always learn, right? That is a big part of it. But not everyone will be as passionate as you are about doing stuff, but that's what you have to find, right? And that's what we found at Dope Security. Every single person in the company is passionate about the work they do. They are really excited about it. And personally, like, when you find that, then it's not really as much of a job. It's just more of an exciting passion that we're working on now.
Yeah, I love it. A passion and always learning. Thank you so much, because I've learned a lot just in that conversation, actually. So really good conversation. Loads of snippets that I'll be taking out of that over the next few months as well, and posting them around. And I could just thank you so much for the time of coming on the podcast. And hope to see you again soon.
Definitely, Ben. And anytime, we'll always keep in touch. And if anyone ever has any questions, like, I'm sure they'll be able to ask on the comments or whatever, then I can go in and answer them.
Yeah,
but thank you again for the time.
Yeah, you too. And
awesome.
Thank you to the listeners at home for tuning in to Growing Tech Fast.